Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Variety Sports Network. This is the Next Left Turn. It's Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome for joining us again. Week 2 of the NASCAR season, 2.5 or 3, I guess, depending if you consider the Clash a week or not. I don't. But good race today, and better 400 down in Atlanta, Georgia. Aaron, what'd you think of it, man?
Whew, it was definitely a little bit of fireworks at the end, that's for sure. And for anybody that's on here or gonna watch it later on, this is AT&T before AT&T. Jeff Burton's 31 singular.
That's man, So I had a phone that had that logo. I can remember that logo. So
yeah.
I remember that. But no, it was a good race today. Penske started up front, and Penske looked like they had it in the bag all day. Now, before the race, obviously we dropped our predictions. Aaron, you had
Chase Elliott and Chris Buescher.
Went with the hometown guy, his home track, I guess, state track. And then I had Mr. Kyle Larson, and then I had Bubba Wallace as my dog. So,
how excited were you at one point that Larson and Bubba were 1-2?
Dude, I was like, this can't be happening. So I was like, all right, my Penske guys are up front. Josh Berry, who I root for, is there with Penske, and he's kind of like Penske's mini team now because he's with Wood Brothers. And then the guys I pick are up front. I'm like, can they end the race now? Do I get to look like a genius? But it didn't work out that way for me. But Penske did start up front. They had strong cars all day. Let's get started with stage 1. Aaron, stage 1. Total snooze fest. Good. How do you categorize stage 1, man? I mean, we had virtually no action. We had some lead changes back and forth between like the same 2, 3, 4 guys. Is stage 1 just too boring? Does it just need to be 2 stages?
It kind of depends on like what track it is. Usually for us, like the first stage usually the most impactful, and it's usually like the second stage is kind of if. So this one, I was just like, we could literally end it by going, just Z's, man. There was just nothing going on. I mean, hats off though to Josh Berry getting into that lead. Winning the pole, obviously, but also too, what was interesting was Carson Hocevar got some points in that first stage. That was interesting.
Yeah, so literally all we had were some lead changes, some bump drafting. We saw in stage 1 what the rest of the race was going to be for passing and what it was going to look like. And it looked a little different to me than it did last year in the spring and the fall. But these cars work at these types of tracks. And that's really what stage 1 showed us. There was going to be some bumping. There was going to be movement. The cars were going to stay down the track. It was boring, but it wasn't uninteresting if you're a NASCAR person. Like if you're a racing fan. There's enough passing. There's enough movement. We got to see the cars do some stuff. So there was stuff going on. There wasn't a lot of high-end action. So at the end of stage 1, Barry does get the win. Cindric ends up second. William Byron third. Bubba Wallace fourth. Chase Elliott fifth. Tyler Reddick sixth. Todd Gilliland with a good showing in the first stage gets seventh. Ryan Blaney eighth. Carson Hocevar, like Aaron mentioned, gets some points, finishing ninth. And Joey Logano gets 10th. And then we roll on to stage 2. So stage 2 obviously had a little bit more to it, which, like Aaron was saying, last year was stage 1 gave us some setup. We saw a little action. Stage 2 was basically save fuel and coast, and then we saw fireworks in stage 3. This year, it's been the first 2 races have been hang out, relax, chill, kind of see how the cars feel in stage 1, and then start getting after it in stage 2. We didn't see a lot of action per se, but we saw some things happen. Ty Dillon ends up tagging the wall and ends up spinning out, bringing out a caution.
The number 9 started a caution.
Well, that's later. Eric Jones ends up cutting a tire at one point and goes down in a turn. Um, he ends up making contact with the inside wall, I believe. See in the inside wall. So that one brings out a caution. So there's not a lot of big stuff. There's not we don't get a big one, big action, but we get a lot of single car issues. Um, we did see some cars get loose and get a little sideways in the turns, but able to save it today. Were you impressed with any of the skill in the cars today at Atlanta, considering with the new pavement, and this is what the seventh race on the new layout?
So, like I said in that quick minute short, that the tires gonna have a good grip in like the February Atlanta, whereas in the fall it's not as great for grip. So I was actually a little bit impressed that there wasn't too many like big accidents in the second. Like obviously there were some spin outs, just a little bit of like cars getting a little bit hit on, like a little bump and run hit. So that was pretty interesting that at that point during the day that it wasn't too bad. It was just obviously when it gets a little bit cooler out, which we'll talk about, it was getting a little bit intense. But I thought for the most part the cars were looking pretty good in the afternoon until it got to that third stage.
Yeah, I mean that's where things get wild. It's really the end of the second stage.
Yeah.
So at one point, Logano and Gilliland are going at it up front. Bowman's up there. Cindric is there, and Cindric and Logano were there basically the entire first two stages. Penske dominated. Josh Berry was up there for the first two stages. Bowman was always around. It felt like, but the Penske team definitely had a setup for today's race. They were set up for Daytona. They were set up for Atlanta. I don't think we're going to see that out of Penske next week at Coda, but the next time we're back at a speedway, and I feel like Penske's figured it out in the Fords, where we've seen the Fords struggle at speedways in the past at times. To me, it feels like maybe that second half last year they figured something out and they've carried it over. But anyways, Gilliland ends up blowing a tire at one point, brings out a caution for debris. We get a restart with Logano and Bowman, and now things start to get interesting. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ends up being in the middle of an accident again this week. He ends up rubbing doors with your guy with Chase Briscoe. They end up they're racing. They just run out of space, right, Aaron? I mean, would you call anything other than that? They run out of room. He hits your guy Chase Elliott. Elliott ends up breaking like a tie rod or something, and ends up collecting Brad Keselowski because it looks like Chase catches it off the wall and he's okay, and out of nowhere, the car turns back up into the wall. Keselowski ends up hitting him. At that point, Corey LaJoie ends up getting involved too, and he's actually further down the track. I thought Stenhouse had figured this out, and the last 2 weeks now, he's gotten me a little concerned with his mental stability on the track.
I think the word you're looking for is kerfuffled.
That'd be a good way to describe it. I mean, what is going on with this guy? At times, he shows the prowess of a seasoned driver, and he shows the capabilities to win and get the job done. And there's other times where he continues to look like a rookie, or like we saw Cole Custer last week, or like we saw Carson Hocevar drive a little bit this week. Careless, reckless. Do we get to a point where we start saying Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on the line of being a dangerous driver?
I was thinking the kind of like the opposite. I feel like this like next gen cars, like you could literally do anything by like the smallest bump, and these things are gonna turn. That's kind of what I think. Like I saw it last week. I mean, obviously it's the truck series, and it's they're made. But when I kept seeing it, like even Saturday night with the Xfinity series, I was just kind of like, this is a little interesting. That like just how these cars are built and just the way that they are. And I was like, maybe not. And then when I saw Ricky Stenhouse. Because even if you look at it, it wasn't that bad of like a hit. Like, he hit Chase Elliott, which is fine, but like, it didn't feel like he maliciously kind of just went into him like that. I think it was just into the turn. So I don't know. I think it might just be a car thing. Maybe NASCAR is trying to do this so they could just throw out more cautions, or maybe having like fans, like the new ones that are coming in to see. Oh, look, we have a lot of wrecks. Like, this is cool.
Well, let's take a look at it real quick because I do have this clip on deck for us.
Stenhouse, and into the wall goes the 9.
Clip Gregson now
Keselowski piles in.
Gregson as well.
There is LaJoy just sliding down the track.
And we are back under caution at lap 150.
So here we go. There's the wiggle, the bump up, the slide.
The car right there of Ryan Blaney came down the racetrack, and when the 47 car came down the racetrack, they made contact. The 19 and 47 got together, and it shot the 47 up the track.
So I mean, it's not. I'm not saying this one was all his fault, but here we are, another accident, and he's at the center of it again. I mean, at what point do we start looking at him as is he always just going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time?
He could be the Temu version of Kyle Busch.
I mean, he could be right now. I mean, that makes a very fair point. God, I've never even thought about that before. That's pretty good. Temu version of Kyle. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. So we get through that accident, and this is right at the end of stage 2. So we go back to start. It's Bowman and Logano. They're trading places. Cindric's up there at this point, and Kyle Larson makes a move. He actually pulls up. He's cleared Logano and Cindric and those guys at this point. He's side by side with Bowman. He clears him. Logano pulls out a line as well. So now we go 3 wide, and Larson just wins it going out of turn 3. It was a good move. He gets the lead there, and he doesn't give it up at that point, and he wins stage 2 for Atlanta. So like I said, Larson gets the win. Bubba Wallace, this is where I was feeling real good. Bubba Wallace was 2nd, Joey Logano 3rd, William Byron 4th, Bowman 5th, Tyler Reddick 6th, Carson Hocevar still up there 7th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, and Noah Gragson 10th. Real quick, I noticed this today. Noah Gragson, better driver than we thought now that he's with a stronger team. Is Legacy Motorsports regretting not working with him during his issue during the cancel culture era? I mean, is he showing you anything that he could be one of the next not superstars but prime drivers in NASCAR?
Sometimes all it takes is just a new environment. We've seen it in other sports where someone's not as good in one spot, they go to another spot and they, thrive in their own way. Could just be that. I mean, Jimmy Johnson is obviously like a part owner of Legacy, which is, Richard Petty Motorsports, if anyone remembers that. So I think he would know, like, if to keep Gragson, if he was just like, you know what, he's got something, let's do this, and then we'll keep him. But I think he probably was just like, you know what, I don't think he's gonna thrive here. We have John Hunter Nemechek, who's okay, but he's like at least a tad bit better. Let's just have him find his own way, and he did. I mean, Kyle Busch was part of Hendrick at one point, went to Joe Gibbs, won championships. Brad Keselowski would have went to Hendrick, but they wanted to keep Mark Martin out of respect. So, things happen. I think it's just a good environment for him with the number 4 car.
Cool. I was just curious because that was something I noticed today. I was like, oh.
I do feel confident. He's more confident this year, especially in pre-interviews.
For sure. He definitely seems to have it together more. Would be the way I'd phrase that. So that was stage 2, and we get into stage 3. So Larson ends up getting off pit road first. Chase Briscoe actually ends up staying out, so he gets the lead. And Chastain and a few others were out there too. And this was really, we finally got into our first strategy play we've seen this year, where you had guys pit early at the end of stage 2, and then stay out to get the track position for stage 3. This actually works really well for a group of cars who had been in the back of the field all day long. We end up seeing Chase Briscoe and Ross Chastain up front. Who else ends up front in this group? Is Reddick up in front at this point?
I think for like a little bit. Nothing
I mean, we
crazy,
saw
though.
it was almost like the field had flipped, really, is what had happened. I mean, you saw a bunch of cars up front. They hadn't been there all day. The Penske cars got buried in the back. Josh Berry was in like 10th or 11th at this point, but it was a bunch of different cars, and it seemed to work for a fair amount of time, really, because Kyle Busch was up there. Kyle Busch came out of nowhere, and he was up there, and his teammate Austin Dillon was up there as well at this point in the race. So it was different. It put a spin on the race where I was like, oh, we really got this wrong with our predictions. And I was like, and Penske's going to get burned again.
I almost picked Kyle because he did get a W. He won in the Truck Series, shocker.
Yep.
And so I figured, that's good momentum to go into Sunday. And then when I saw he was up for those 2 laps, I was like, oh, okay. But then he kind of fell a little bit. I was like,
How many times does he go out and run in the truck or the Busch Series and then ends up winning those and then comes back and wins the Cup race that weekend?
Exactly.
He does it
That's what
so
I was
much.
thinking. That's what I was thinking, and it didn't happen. I was like,
But we saw some really good racing. This is where the action really picked up. We saw 2 wide racing all day long. We saw a fair amount of 3 wide racing in stage 1 and stage 2, but you didn't see much for anybody pushing to try to get a 4th. We finally saw that come to fruition in the 3rd stage. And around lap 184, we see it finally not work out. Ty Gibbs ends up going 3 wide in the middle, splitting Gilliland and Suarez. And what ends up happening here, to me, again, it looked more like it was racing and they ran out of room. It looked like Suarez didn't know that Gibbs had cut down and made that move and was there. It looked very similar to Daytona last week.
yeah.
Where Logano was going to keep going and then Stenhouse just wasn't going to give it up. This one seemed like, and I believe Suarez said in the interview afterwards, he said, I didn't know I have to do better. I didn't realize he was there. So I got a clip of that here somewhere as well. But Graston's involved, Cole Custer's involved, Yealy's involved. It brings out a good-sized caution. I think this is it. I queued it up early. So if I'm wrong, we'll get to the next clip. So
Did you see how fast that Logano's car reacted, though? As soon as that thing got on a straightaway,
Right
drove straight to the bumper of Bowman. 3 wide, 5th row on back,
Nope,
all
I'm
the
in the
way
wrong
through
spot,
the field.
obviously.
Here we go.
That was the end of stage 2, guys. My bad. Let me get to the next clip that I had up there. But
And of course, Chris Buescher, my underdog pick, he got into a little bump and he made a caution. I was like, oh, why is this happening to me?
yeah, you got burned there, and I was like, oh, he's out on both fronts. Here it is. Here's the proper clip. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, starts to slow him up from the block. You see with Wallace, see Suarez have to lift as he got in the wake and got tight. The hole closes up here with Gibbs, Gilliland, and Suarez. Suarez into the wall. And then here comes Custer and the rest of them. Big hits right here.
Boom.
Boom. That's where that wall turns back out to with the dog leg. Custer hit a ton.
Yeah, and that whole wreck happened because of the 2 cars of Riley Herbst, and that checkup,
Wallace,
checkup of Bubba Wallace and Riley caused everybody else to have to go somewhere else. And you see right here,
like
it looks to me
in-car
like the
views.
99 didn't know that they were all down there. There was 2 cars below him and kind of turned over the front of the.
So like I said, and like Suarez even says that he didn't know he was there and that he has to do better. He took responsibility for that one. I mean, that was really the first big moment of the race. We saw multiple cars involved in an accident. And then things calmed down for a while. This is where Kyle Busch ends up really going out and leading a few laps. Byron actually helps get Busch up there initially. He gives him the push, and then, as you said, he was there for a couple laps. and Briscoe ends up shoving Byron to the lead overall and gets around. And then lap 200, Busch comes back and gets back to the lead again. So he's making a little charge. He was staying there, man. I thought he was going to have a chance there at the end. I really did.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was like, we're 60 laps away. I mean, he could totally
A
be
lot
there.
of things can happen. 60 laps left.
Oh well, yeah, especially Atlanta too. So we get to the next point, and Chase Briscoe actually gets a little loose. He ends up tagging the wall, and this is where Buescher gets turned around. He ends up collecting Bowman and Gibbs. We get a caution out there too. This one was more careless, in my opinion, I guess. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Disagree?
No, I was definitely a little careless.
And this one
I was like,
So we're gonna see it right here. Briscoe, golly, I'm still struggling with the driver changes in the different cars. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we see Briscoe here, Cindric, Gano's up here. And
I mean, you should know. You should know that's Chase Briscoe. He does not drive like Martin Truex.
Well, I know, but still, I'm
Chase
struggling.
Briscoe on the outside. Watch the run. He's going to follow suit with Hocevar in front of him. Try to get to the outside. Gets tight. Gets
Just
in the
a little
wall
touch.
there, and it doesn't end. Almost exactly like the last wreck that happened. Watch him squeeze. Buescher gets squeezed here. Turns Briscoe. Turns Buescher back down into Bowman.
And a lot of times, you know, it's exactly the same. They just ran out of space, and Buescher was in the.
I mean, it wasn't a big accident by any means, but it was enough that it caused a caution, put a little bit of damage on the cars. And if I would have let you see the rest of the clip, I mean, the front of Bowman's car is actually really torn up. The right front is, I mean, the tire shredded because it got the sheet metal got crushed enough to cut the tire up. So didn't look bad, but it was definitely something. And again, it gave everybody that chance to hit the pits, and we got to see different strategies there. So when we go back to racing, it's Cindric and Busch up front at this point. Cindric has been one of the fastest cars all day long. Like I said, Team Penske was cooking today, especially when they had clean air. And that was the best part about this race. The clean air racing up front was phenomenal.
Yes.
The moves they were making, the way they could pull out and go. This almost looked like they had fixed the problem that they've been complaining about at super speedways, where they say, you know, you pull out and you can't go. Well, Atlanta, that's all you saw today. You saw guys just pull out a line and somebody go with them, and boom, it was slingshot engage. No joke. And it was phenomenal. It made it a lot of fun for a race that didn't have a bunch of accidents. It made it enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, and Cindric's been having a pretty good year so far, these first two races.
Yeah, Cindric looks like he's figured it out, and Penske looks like they figured out how to make that Deuce car go. And it's been a long time since we've seen the Deuce be competitive week in and week out.
Yeah, since Kurt Busch in 06.
Basically, yeah. I mean, and obviously Rusty had it for a long time, but yeah, it's Keselowski did all right with the 2-car.
No, he did. He won a championship with it.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't, you know, he wasn't a force to be reckoned with, but he did good. So we get down and we're inside 50 laps to go, and Cindric and Busch are up front. They're exchanging spots for the lead, and with about 37 laps left, Blaney is making a drive, and he's pushing, and he gets up to the lead. And at this point, we have constant lead changes from here on out. It's every lap there's at least one, if not two, lead changes. Chastain ends up in the lead. Barry ends up in the lead a couple laps later. Cindric ends up back in the lead. Blaney's back in the lead. I mean, this was the most exciting part of the race. It was this 15, 20 lap stretch where it was just constant lead changes. I think they might have hit the record for total number of lead changes in this race. It was set at 48 last year at the spring race. I know it won with like 12 or 10 laps left. They were at like 42 lead changes, so I'm sure they got there. But I mean, Hocevar gets up to a point, and he's in the lead with Cindric out there, and then Cindric ends up getting past him and takes the lead back, and we get down with about 5 laps left, and Bell takes the lead, and Cindric is working on the outside, and Larson shoves Cindric in the back, and things are getting very dicey. Well, what were you feeling at this point, Aaron? Did you think it was going to be a massive accident that was going to take out half the field? Did you think they were going to find a way to keep it clean? At this point, what did you think was going to happen?
Oh, if anything taught me last year is that nothing is safe. Like there could be a clear-cut winner, and a caution can happen, debris can come out, or just anything can happen, and the result will be totally different. Saw it last year at Texas. Denny Hamlin had it. Chase Elliott went around, boom, got him through, won it. So when I saw it, I was like, is Kyle Larson going to do it? Is it going to be Cindric? Is it going to be Hocevar? Is it going to be anybody? I don't know. It was pretty much on my feet, I guess, trying to figure out who was going to win this. It was just very tight.
Typically during the race, I'll be kicked back in the recliner chilling. I was set up for this one. I was,
Yep.
Elbows were on my knees. I was like, what is going to happen here? I got a big clip here. This is with like 3 or 4 laps left. This is all the action we were waiting for all race.
Larson trying to win on a
he put him
track.
in the fence.
Oh, no.
Cindric got
and Cindric into the wall.
Looks like
Now,
I want to see the
seems
replay.
like such a small
Definitely
accident.
getting up the racetrack, tight quarters.
And that's what I was saying earlier
Off the
about
two
these
there,
cars. I
Cindric
just
in the
feel
fence.
like they're just
Took out Byron as well.
giving out too quick.
I mean, as soon as
Larson trying to win
that
on
little
Look at
bump
that,
on
you know what I
the
mean?
front-
Oh,
that front
no.
splitter,
Cindric got
Byron and Cindric.
that front splitter, man. If they can lift, they disrupt that front splitter. It's game over. I mean, it's great for what it does, but man, for the as touchy as it makes the cars, it's ridiculous. So Cindric there, fastest car all day long. He ends up getting taken out with William Byron. So William doesn't win 2 in a row, thank God. and we end up going to overtime. Larson's up front for overtime. Christopher Bell's up front for overtime. It looks like it's going to be one of those classic shootouts. Chastain is up there at this point. Josh Berry's up there. Carson Hocevar's up there. And it's a great finish. We get the classic overtime. There's a wreck. There's a wreck on the last lap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to try to hide it from you. It is what it is. It's what we've come to know and expect in NASCAR. And I think it's exciting as hell, if you want me to be honest. I think it's super exciting when we do these overtime finishes. I think we need to cap them at like never. I don't care if it's 3 overtimes or if it's 11 overtimes. I want to see the fireworks every time. So this is the end of the race. This is 2 to go. I'm just gonna let the video show itself so you guys can see the end. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what happened, you're gonna watch it later. Don't watch this video right now.
Here we go, Clint. Hocevar to the middle. We saw this exact same thing play out last year coming to the checkered flag with that second row right there.
Who does the help go with, though?
Now you see that outside lane and Christopher Bell.
All right, the restart is under review as we come to the white flag under green.
They're
Next flag
touching, they're
ends the
hitting.
race. 4 wide.
Battle for the lead. Bell and Larson. Not a lot of help coming. They get a run. Here comes those tires. Blaney, Hocevar to the outside. Big
Watch that Denny Hamlin.
Into turn 3. Here we go.
That's what I
There
was
you go.
thinking
It's
too.
going to
Look
be
at that
whoever
ball.
gets there first with that push on the
See,
outside.
Hocevar almost lost it there
Hocevar
anyway.
to
Yep.
Caution is out. Crashing into turn number 3.
Who was in the lead? Hocevar was
Josh
right
Berry.
there between Larson, Bell, Hocevar. Which one is it, guys?
Josh Berry is all piled up.
Here we go, Clint.
So, as we could see in that replay, in overtime, if you're not sure, you don't know why the win goes to who here. If it's the final lap and they're racing in overtime, whoever is in the lead when the yellow flag flies is the winner. So Christopher Bell gets the win in this race because he was slightly ahead of Carson Hocevar and Kyle Larson when the yellow flag dropped. That Christopher Bell gets his first W this season. He is locked into the playoffs. Carson Hocevar gets his career high finish, second in a stock car. Kyle Larson third. Ryan Blaney with another solid finish for Penske in fourth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fifth. Denny Hamlin sixth. Kyle Busch seventh. Ross Chastain eighth. Bubba Wallace ninth. Joe Hunter Nemechek 10th. Joey Logano 11th. Zane Smith, a very quiet but successful day, finishes 12th. Michael McDowell 13th. He needed that after a rough week last week at Daytona. AJ Allmendinger 14th. Todd Gilliland 15th. Austin Dillon 16th. Riley Herbst 17th. Chase Elliott disappointing 18th because he had a rough finish to his day. Ryan Preece 19th. Tyler Riddick 20th. Chase Briscoe 21st. BJ McLeod 22nd. SVG 23rd. Justin Haley 24th. Barry 25th. Bowman 26th. Byron 27th. Cindric 28th after being strong all day long. Good thing he got his stage points. Ty Dillon 29th. Chris Buescher 30th. Your dog came in 30th, so he did finish like a dog. Vegas had it right. Eric Jones 31st. Ty Gibbs 32nd. Daniel Suarez, the defending Spring Atlanta champ, 33rd. Noah Gragson 34th. Cody Ware 35th. Colt Custer 36th. JJ Yeley 37th. Corey LaJoie 38th. And Brad Keselowski 39th. Think about that. Brad finished 39th, and his accident was in the middle of stage 2, or near the end of stage 2.
Pretty much.
So that means, really, you got to think, there was zero action and no cars were permanently damaged early in the race. Now, are we liking this new rule and they get towed back to the garage and they can do some work there and they're not out if they get towed? I'm loving this. I think it's much more fair. I think it's going to have dramatic impact on the standings from the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, so good on that one. I knew the drivers really wanted that, so it's good that they have that rule.
Yeah,
because it happened. What was that race? That Ryan Blaney. Was it Ryan Blaney or was it Josh Berry? I think it was Ryan Blaney. All four of his tires went out, and he literally could have got them changed. And they took him to the garage, like, no, you're done. It was like 4 laps in.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. So, yeah, they got that changed. I'm super happy with that change that they have now. But that was the race. It was a good race. It was a clean race. Next week, it's COTA. So first road track of the week of the season. Obviously, the favorites head into next week. And guys, when we somebody called us out on how I picked Larson as a favorite today. I checked the spreads the morning of, and I just checked sports books. So I'm guessing the favorites next week are going to be SVG, Suarez, Allmendinger, Allgaier, Christopher Bell. Who else would be a favorite for a road track that I'm not thinking off the top of my head?
That's kind of really like your tops. I mean, I pretty much I'm not gonna say guarantee, but it's like 99.995% chance it's gonna be SVG.
That's one thing.
It's got to be.
What's the other ringer that who's going to bring in a ringer for next week? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I'm trying to think of who they go out and get. Boris said's too old.
Oh yeah, nice.
Even though I'm sure he can still beat half the guys on a road track. So I wish somebody would go get Tony Stewart and bring him back for a road race.
Nah, he likes the drag race too much. Plus, he's a dad
now.
So.
Yeah, he's a dad now. He's got a beautiful wife, a healthy baby. He's good to go.
I think, in my opinion, Tony Stewart left because he saw what was happening to NASCAR. A guy like that races 7 days a week, and all of a sudden he just leaves. That's a concern.
That should scream red flags to everybody involved and not involved. But that is a topic for another day because I won't really speak on that topic until I hear and read more about what actually happened and why he did what he did. So it's something that's very interesting, though, and I'm sure we could have a great conversation on. I just don't know enough to speak intelligently. Not yet,
Nah, I
at
feel you on
least.
that.
So, but no, great race this week. I give it a 6.99. Just because I didn't have enough accidents, I didn't have enough action. I'll be honest with you, man. And this grinds my gears. I'm over the stage racing. Either
Yeah.
stage 1 needs to be no more than 40 laps long, and then stage 2 needs to be 40% of the remaining laps, and stage 3 needs to be 60% of the remaining laps, something like that. Because I don't like not having green flag pit stops. I don't like the competition and the strategy there. Or just cut it into 2 stages, and you have like, the first stage is 25% of the race, and the second stage is 75% of the race.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Get a point at the halfway point, or get some kind of a bonus for driver points at the halfway point. That's a live point during the race. Maybe it's not because of a caution, whatever. This is something I think NASCAR needs to address.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I'll also give that like a 7 today, just because pretty much everything you said, you kind of took everything from me. So
sorry, my bad. We don't do it.
good.
We don't do
It just
enough
shows how in
rehearsals and
sync
not
we
step
are.
on each other's shoes, on each other's shoes, though.
Mm-hmm. That's how good in sync we are.
Yeah, well, we know if we've watched the race and if we're ready to go, and then we can just come on and talk about it. Yeah. But hey, we cut it down. We shaved another 4 minutes this week, guys. We are going to get this show down to where you can watch it quick. We're working on it, trying to only hit the highlights for you. If you don't like that and you liked it the way we did deep dives last year, let us know. We can do that. It's actually harder to make this shorter because I feel like we're leaving so much out. So we're just trying to hit the high points. But get in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Next Saturday night, look for Aaron's short. It's going to be Aaron's short of the week, where he's going to give you kind of a preview of the race. He's going to give you, if he has both of our predictions, he'll give you both of our picks and our dogs. If not, he may just do his dog and his favorite. You never know what you're going to get on the Saturday short from Aaron about the race of the week. So, guys, look for that next Saturday. We'll be covering COTA. We'll see you guys next Sunday night right here, same time, same place, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, Next Left Turn, Variety Sports Network. You all take care. Have a great week. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and share.